Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Name One Player podcast. My name is Nicole. I am your host, and I have 3 words for you. Those 3 words are football is back. Football's back. I'm so excited. Also, that's a big fat lie. I have way more than 3 words for you. I have a whole podcast for you. But the first 3 words, the most important 3 words, are football's back. Football is back today. If you are listening to the podcast on the day that it is released, it is Thursday, September 4th. We have a regular season NFL game. I'm tearing up saying that. I apologize if I just start bursting out into tears, but they're happy tears. They're like genuine tears of joy. I'm so happy. It's like Christmas. Summer, honestly, to me, isn't officially over yet. I still like to push it till the end of September when the fall equinox actually happens. Is it an equinox or a solstice? I don't really know the difference, to be honest with you. So whenever fall hits, that's when I'm like, summer's over. But fall is in the air because football is here. I'm so excited. I know a ton of my listeners are NFL fans. We made it. You guys, we made it. We're here. Soak it all in. It's exciting. I love it. I'm so happy. If you are listening to the podcast on the day that it is released, we have an Eagles and Cowboys game. I almost did something crazy today. I almost put money on the Philadelphia Eagles to win the game today. And then I stopped myself as a Minnesota Vikings fan. I don't like the Eagles. The Eagles organization, I don't like them. I just don't. Okay. And I like money, obviously. And I think if I had to guess, I think the Eagles are going to pull this one out pretty easily. Well, maybe I'll be eating my words next week. I don't know. We'll see. But I was like, why not put a little bit of money on it? Why not? And then I saw myself and I was like, because I don't want to root for an Eagles win. I can expect an Eagles win, but I don't want to root for an Eagles win. So that's that. I will be watching this game. I said, I believe last week, the Eagles Cowboys, not the most exciting matchup for me personally. Definitely will be cool. I can't believe I'm using cool and watching the Eagles in the same sentence, but maybe that's not the best word. It will be, I guess, yeah, nice. I don't know. I'm honestly really struggling to find like a nice word about the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know. I'm gonna watch the game. And it will be interesting. Maybe interesting is a good word. Interesting to see how the Eagles are doing coming off of their Super Bowl win. I'm more interested in watching how the Cowboys are going to be doing. Dumpster fires, not a nice word, obviously. But that's the first thing that came to mind with the Cowboys. And seeing that Micah Parsons is no longer on the Dallas Cowboys, I don't know what that team's gonna do. I'm very curious to see how the game's gonna go. Would it be cool for the Cowboys to win the game? Totally. That would be really cool. Do I think they're going to win the game? No. I don't, but that's okay. I'm just happy to be watching regular season football. I don't think I have any players on my fantasy team playing today. Let me take a little look-see. My kicker, Jake Elliott, is playing today, so let's get those extra points. Let's get those field goals and go Jake Elliott. Not necessarily go the Eagles, go Jake Elliott. Would be really cool if they just didn't score any touchdowns and Jake was the only one who put up points for the team. That would be kind of cool, I think. But yeah, to quote Michael Scott from The Office, I am ready to get hurt again. I am ready for the Minnesota Vikings to hopefully not crush my dreams. I'm feeling good about them. I'm so excited about them. So excited about JJ McCarthy. There's genuinely not the correct words in the English language to describe how excited, how happy, how at peace I feel. I do think that will probably change as the season goes on. I am ready for the Minnesota Vikings to hurt me and for my fantasy team to potentially piss me off. I'm ready for it. But that's part of the fun, baby. Okay, we're ready. We're locked in. Football's back. I'm so excited. And today, obviously, we have a football episode. And we have a really amazing guest on. I'm so excited for you guys to hear this episode. We have Izzy, who is the founder of an amazing app called Hi Franky. Hi Franky is available for you to download today. I have been playing around on that app for the last little while. I'm obsessed with it. I'm going to say it. It's one of my favorite apps ever. If you love football, which I think a ton of the listeners who are listening today do. If you love astrology, which if I had to guess, I would think a good amount of the listeners of the Name One Player podcast might dabble in astrology because I love astrology. And I think a lot of the listeners are very similar to me. So if you do have any interest in astrology and football, this app is going to rock your world. I'm obsessed with it. I'm going to let Izzy explain to you all about what the Hi Franky app is, but I will tell you, it is so fun. I definitely recommend that you go and check it out. It is such a cool app, and I'm so excited to use it all throughout the season. Izzy's going to talk about how she got into football, why she loves the sport, what the Hi Franky app is, why she created it. She's also going to let us know what her favorite team is and her thoughts on the upcoming season. Well, it's not even upcoming anymore. You guys, it's here. The season is here. Football starts today. Football starts today. All right, everybody. I think let's just hop into the episode and let's talk about football because guess what? Football's back. All right, everybody. Without further ado, please welcome Izzy. All right, everyone. We have Izzy here with us. Izzy, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. It's our last Sunday before the season. I'm so excited.
It's insane. Like, I'm so excited. I can't believe we're here. It's been a long summer, but we're here. And I mean, by the time everybody's listening to, we're recording this on Sunday. So we have a little less till Thursday, 1 week until, well, I guess you watch the Bills play and we'll get into what team that you like. But spoiler, it's the Bills. But yeah, 1 week from when we're recording, but by the time everybody listens to this, it's going to be
First
Thursday
day.
and we're going to have a regular season NFL game. It's nuts. I'm so happy that we're back.
Me too.
But Izzy, tell me and everybody listening a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. So I'm Izzy, founder of Hi Franky, which is a new sports app that I built really to get my experience of falling in love with football, which only happened a few years ago, which I'll talk about, to kind of translate that into an app and to get more of my friends to fall in love with the sport the way that I did, because it's just such a joy of my life right now. And I just think that there is a lot of really exciting ways to get people hooked and to kind of, allow people to explore their fandom in ways that are not kind of the traditional sports media that exists today.
Well, I love so many things what you said, just like how much joy football brings to you,
Yeah.
because that really is what it is. And it's just so much fun. I mean, I love sports, but something about football, joy is literally the
much joy.
perfect word. And just what you said too about how there's so many different ways to become a fan. And I feel like for women in particular, women are becoming fans of all sports, but football in multiple different ways. And like you said, not necessarily you played sports your
Right.
whole life or you played
You grew up with
football.
it. You grew up in a family that loved
Exactly.
it. Like, none of those things were really the case for me. And I also think football is a sport that, like, if you don't know what's going on, I don't know that it is that fun to watch. If you're not super into sports already, I feel like you can like watch a basketball game and still be like, "Oh, fun, like they're scoring," and you don't really need to know the rules to like get it. But football is so much more fun when you know what to look for, and I think that experience of like realizing that and figuring out players to root for and teams to root for and against, all of that, I think has just been such a joy. You posted about this as well, but that moment in the Taylor New Heights podcast
I
where
was literally thinking I'm about to bring this up,
yeah,
but
yeah.
anyways, you go on 100%.
It was so verbatim my experience. I legitimately asked, like verbatim, I asked the same question to my friend, like the Kelsey brothers are on the field at the same time. Like that's crazy. And she's like, no, that's not how that works. And I'm like, that was a foreign concept to me. I couldn't have known football less when I got into it. Going from that to, caring about the draft, which is, exactly what she talked about, was such a fun experience. And I kind of can't believe that if you told me 5 years ago that I would be here today talking about football, I would be very confused. Like it was really not my brand at the time or like the vibe that I thought that I was going for.
That's hilarious. And developing a whole football app, which is about to launch. I mean, I guess by the time this
Yeah,
podcast is out on Thursday, the app is
fingers
going to be
crossed.
fingers definitely
Definitely.
crossed. We're going to
Yeah,
get there, girl, 100%.
totally.
But tell me all about Hi Frankie.
Yeah. So, taking a bit of a step back and just like talking about the journey that I had getting into football. Again, I didn't grow up in a football family, like didn't care about it, wasn't against it, but just like didn't really think that it was my vibe. But my best friend is from Buffalo. She's a diehard Bills fan. And a few years ago, she invited me to a Bills bar on one of those like Saturday night late season games. So like those, like December Saturday night games. And I even say that because I don't even think it was an intentional, like, I'm gonna go watch football thing. It was like we had plans to hang out and it just happened to be a night that was a football game, right?
Okay.
And I remember being like a little bit reluctant and just being like, I'm like kind of scared to go to a sports bar. I just didn't know that that scene could be for me.
Okay.
I went to that game and to the Bills bar, and the rest is literally history. Like I was so immediately hooked. And I think that one of the things that definitely helped was that it was a really exciting game and just kind of like bottled a lot of what is so much fun to watch about the Bills like into one game where it was like a division rivalry at the end of the season,
Okay.
against Miami in the snow in Buffalo. Like it was,
Okay. Yeah. I was going to ask you know what game it was, but
yeah,
okay.
and like having everyone root for the same team. Bills Mafia is just the best. I can't speak highly enough about that fan base. Being so welcomed and like experiencing so much joy and watching people be so in love with it in a way. And like someone that I love, my friend who I don't consider to be like frat bro vibe that I think I like, had a bad perception of what fans
Yeah.
look like. I was like, well, she loves it. Maybe I could love it. And just was so immediately hooked and watched through the rest of that season and was a little bit shocked at how devastated I was when they lost in playoffs. I was like, I thought I was like doing a bit. Like I didn't realize that I had gotten so emotionally invested.
I didn't realize that I was locked into this.
Yeah. And fast forward a few years, I'm just like fully obsessed. And I think just that there were a few things that stick out to me about like my journey of getting into it that I wanted to translate into an app. So I think last year I played fantasy for the first time, and I was even reluctant to do that because like I'd like gotten really into football over the few years prior, but I still was mostly just focused on the Bills. And I was like, it seems like so much work to like know everything that's going on in the league and like know about all these other players and fantasy. I don't understand, whatever. But I shared a team with my friend, and I think we both kind of agreed, okay, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it like in a fun, girly way.
Yeah.
And I remember kind of going into like Yahoo Fantasy or whatever and just being so overwhelmed in that there's just abbreviations I didn't know. There was all these stats. There was the timer itself, like for the draft, was just like, it was so stressful. I was really excited and like interested in playing fantasy, and yet it still felt like the least welcoming thing for someone that didn't already know what they were doing.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I just was like, this is just a hard thing to look at. Just felt like dense and heavy, and I just didn't latch onto it very quickly.
Yeah.
But we got through the draft, and I think the first week that we had to like choose between a couple players to play, I think I literally just Googled like who had the better zodiac outlook for the week,
I
and
love it.
we chose that way, and then just completely leaned in from there. And
Nice.
it wasn't that astrology was going to predict every outcome or like make you win your league or anything. But I think it served as just like a really funny reminder that players are human beings and
Yeah.
they're unpredictable and football is unpredictable. And like that's what makes it so much fun anyway. I think we can be quick to kind of think of players as these like superhuman entities that like you can predict their every move and like really study their stat lines and everything. That's all important, and not to like diminish the analysts out there because
Mm.
that work is really fascinating as well. But I think that this element of if you rely only on stats and spreadsheets, you're always going to have the moment that someone on your bench is popping off and you're like, I wouldn't have known to play that person because they weren't supposed to do well this week. Or, there you have someone else that's just like a total dud or like gets injured or something like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that idea of just like the player vibes and energy and confidence and like what's going on off the field and all that kind of stuff matters too. And I
Mhm.
and I feel like people don't give enough credit to the vibes of the team
A
sometimes.
hundred
Like
percent.
the
A
vibes have
hundred
to be
percent.
good. So I think astrology just gave kind of like a playful way in to make those calls. And I think that idea that like players are human and that I could get into their stories as human beings was one of the reasons I got so super into the game to begin with. Like I was introduced to Josh Allen as a Gemini. Like I knew that he was a Gemini from the second I like learned who he was. So I think that was like
That's funny.
important.
I don't know if I would have thought he was a Gemini off the top of my head, but okay. Okay.
But yeah, I think that idea that even I can remember being shown a player and being like, he's really hot. And my friend being like, his wife's even hotter. And I'm like, oh, amazing. I'm going to root for him. Just all those little kind of fun, playful things that just made it like who to root for and also who to root against, which was also like a pretty interesting learning of being like, oh my God, I really like that guy. And then learning that he has all sorts of controversial things going on, off
Mhm.
that was important to me too. So anyway, we did our fantasy based on astrology, did really well, by the way. Like made it to
Amazing.
playoffs.
Incredible.
For the very end of the season last year, I built a version of the app that was simply just look up a player and see their astrological outlook for the week. My friends who were already super into football loved it and used it for their fantasy playoffs and for their betting and like stuff like that. But my friends who were very interested in getting into football because they knew that I loved it and they like were down to try it, they opened the app and they didn't even know who to search. They were like, I know Travis Kelce and I know Josh Allen because you don't shut up about him, but like other than that, I don't know who to even input here to this
Yeah.
app.
Yeah.
Think that that's what turned this like kind of tiny flicker of an idea into a light bulb moment of like, I don't want to build something that's just like a fantasy companion. I
Mm.
want to build something that is that open door experience that I had getting into football. I can meet people where they're at. I can celebrate any entry point into caring about football and just kind of like bring people along to the player backstories, the lore, allow them to learn the game at their own pace. So yeah, that just was kind of the idea that Frankie would be a persona of, your bestie that's just kind of like bringing you in and saying, "Hell yeah, you're welcome here." And whatever you want to explore in your fandom, like I'm here to do that. Like we can go deep on play calls or we can talk about the drama and the wags and the fashion and just kind of allow for that more playful kind of fun entry point that I think I was able to experience myself.
Okay, amazing. I like love it so much. I was furiously writing down all the points that you were saying so that I can reference them, go back to them because I genuinely love everything that you said, and it's funny too because it sounds like our ways of getting into the NFL are somewhat similar. I was brought in by an ex-boyfriend. We started dating in like the summertime, and then September rolls around, and he said to me, he's like, "Nicole, our Sundays have been awesome, but like you're not gonna see me anymore." And September rolls around, and I was like, "Okay, you know what? I can show some interest in his interests." But I was like, I want a team to root for. He didn't really
Totally.
care about a team, but I was like, I want a team to root for. So the
And
easy answer when people are like, why do you like the Minnesota Vikings? Was just on my TV growing up. The real answer is Lizzo's Truth Hurts was popping off at the time.
I love it.
And
It's so
I
good.
love the song, New Man on the Minnesota Vikings. I'm like, boom, that's my team.
Yep.
Easy.
Yep.
And this was maybe, gosh, about like 7 years ago now, so, like, it is still fairly new.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Like, it wasn't like I was this Minnesota Vikings fan my whole entire life that I knew the entire history of the team. I have that I quoted it, that you wanted to celebrate any entry point into football, and I freaking love that. Like, I think that's so amazing because kinda like what we touched on before, a lot of the time women, when they are getting into football, and this is a blanket statement, there's definitely women who have been fans their whole lives for different reasons, but sometimes it is like a song, sometimes it is a friend that you know, sometimes it is a boyfriend, sometimes it is Taylor Swift or a celebrity that you like starts dating somebody. And I think for a long time, males in particular, and again, a blanket statement, but I
Sure.
think kind of a statement that's true, would that wouldn't be valid. That wouldn't be a valid reason for liking a sports team. Um, but I think it's completely valid. Like, if you like a team, doesn't matter how you got into it. If you like a team and you're just learning, it doesn't matter. You're a fan. It doesn't make you any less important of a fan than somebody who has been watching
Yeah.
forever from birth because of their parents, all that good stuff. So I love that. And I just love the fact that you've made an app that just brings all of that in. And now the other point of it too is like you mentioned. Oh, okay. Well, actually, let me write this down so I don't forget about it. Okay, so two more things to what you said. Now I'm gonna ramble for a little bit. How you said about fantasy, and I love the astrological component because I love astrology. And kind of what you said too. I mean, I think we can all acknowledge that, of course, astrology is not scientifically backed. We understand that, but
Mhm.
it's fun. Okay. And
So fun.
sometimes there's no other way to explain things other than Josh
Yeah.
Allen's a Gemini. Like sometimes that's just it. And I love what you said too about the analysts, and yes, that's important, and the stats and how they played before, and looking at the opponents, and there are definitely a lot of numbers to predicting fantasy, but at the same time, like you said, these players are human. There's a lot of unknown with it
Yeah.
too. You can have all of the analytics, but analysts
And you're gonna still
sometimes
have
aren't right. Like, sometimes things go wrong. And there's so many podcasts of people like giving their theories. There's so many, like you said, articles, the percentages and the
yeah.
predictive scores, but
Yeah.
they're predictions. So it's like, why can't we also take astrology and put that into the prediction too? Why is that any less of a reason? Because at the end of the day, we don't know how they're going to play.
Totally.
We genuinely do not know.
I would kind of crack up like listening to broadcasts being like, in history, this player has never lost in the snow on Thursdays. Like they're always like coming up with shit like that I'm like, how is that any different? Like I'm glad to hear that, that's the case and that's like impressive, I guess. But I'm also
Yeah.
like, that's like literally no different than he's a Leo and he's doing well with Saturn return right now. I don't know. Like it's just so
That's such a good point, actually, too. It's like, because for anybody who doesn't know, your Saturn return is around like 27 to 31 ish. And you know what? We can look at it as like they're getting older, their bones are failing on them, whatever. Or it could be they're entering their Saturn return
totally
and good things are going to happen for them. Or maybe they realize football isn't the career for them and their
right,
Saturn return
right,
is gonna throw it all up.
totally.
So, yeah, I completely agree. I do laugh at those wild statistics too.
Definitely a bit of a nerd on that data side too of like the analysis that we are doing for astrology now in the app is like so comically in depth now. It literally is going through like every degree of every planet, doing specific boosts on if certain players are involved in the game. Like it's like so comically in depth that like why not? Because
Literally, why not?
there's so many other people doing that in various other lanes with weather, days of the week, or all that kind of stuff. And it's like it's literally no different than just kind of having fun with trying to see how they're cosmically aligned as well.
100%. And I had my fantasy draft not too long ago. I did not draft based off of astrological signs, which I wish I kind of did looking back. Like,
I
I
think
was
drafting based on the signs might be a little bit hard, but definitely choosing your week over week like lineup is what this is
yes.
for
I
sure.
100% will be using Frankie to kind of help me out there. Something also too that you touched on that I loved is, just bringing in those quote unquote girly pieces. But I think
Hmm.
that's just so important to acknowledge because it like there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like you said, learning about the players' stories, that is, and I've talked about this so many times on the podcast with so many guests, is that seems to be a pretty common way for women in particular to become invested in the sports, like especially with Netflix sports, Amazon Prime, like all those documentaries, getting into like not just their stats of a player, but like
Yeah,
getting
who are
into
they?
their stories, exactly who they are, their wives and their girlfriends, like you said, so many pieces of that. And I love on the app when you search up a player, it tells you if they're single. It tells you, I was looking at Justin Jefferson and it's like,
Yeah,
a
like,
question mark because we really don't know. We
we have
really don't
no
know with
idea.
that man.
Who's to say, but not a public relationship at least.
Well,
So we do
I
that.
have a question actually.
Yeah,
For Justin Herbert, do you have Madison Beer as a potential on there? Because
I have Madison Beer question mark currently.
I love it. I love so
Yeah, I mean, we think so, but again,
maybe we don't
hey,
know.
I'll have to keep an eye out.
I love it.
Like Sports Illustrated literally started with the idea that like they were doing more kind of interesting think pieces on the players' lives. Like that is not like, I just feel like there's this like perception that these things wouldn't be important, but it's like you guys have cared about these things too.
Yeah,
And yet for some reason like just like the little bit girlier of a twist on it is just like, not as welcome. But going back to something you said it just about having to kind of prove your fandom, I think that that was also such a and obviously the name of your podcast being so rooted in that too, that was something that was such a surprise for me too with Bills fans, which again I have to just give so much love to them. That is a fan base that easily could be like, you have to earn your spot here because we have gone through hell and back, and you
yeah,
can't just come in here when we have Josh Allen, he's doing amazing. Like it could have so easily been that, and I didn't experience that, and I think that that was like such like a shock to me that it was more just like like come on in, like welcome, and
Right.
you're part of this now. And I think that was hilarious and fun and funny to just like be at the bar and be like, talking to these guys that have been diehard fans since, since birth. They were born into it, whatever, and making them kind of question, like, oh, you're right. Like, Josh is doing a lot better ever since getting engaged,
Yeah.
and
That's
just like forcing them to be like, oh, interesting. What does it say about this player's like, planet lineup this week? And just kind of having them break down those assumptions as well, I think was really fun to have this like very excited community that was fine with the idea that I could be girly and silly and playful with it and not have to kind of prove that I needed a reason to be there other than just this is fun and I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, I love that. Going back to the app, we're recording this on Sunday. It's not officially launched yet.
Yep.
Hopefully by Thursday, by the time this episode comes out, and the first game is on. It's Eagles Cowboys, which honestly, I don't even care
Yep.
about that game, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna be locked in. As a Vikings fan, I just do not like the Eagles organization. And well, actually, you know what? I am kind of excited to watch the game because now with Micah Parsons gone,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what that team's gonna look
I feel
like.
like mutual like disdain for the Cowboys is where I'm like I'm gonna
There you
be.
go. Hopefully by the time everybody's listening, they can go on the app and just kind of get a feel of what's going on in the stars with both teams and their fantasy players coming up. But you have a really exciting event coming up this weekend. Well,
Yeah.
I guess, in 7 days from when we're recording, you are having a launch party for the app, and you were so kind to invite me. I live on the West Coast. I was looking at flights. I was getting ready to go.
I was so grateful that you even entertained that
Oh
to
my
hop on
gosh,
a
of
flight for this.
course. Well, first of all, I love to meet anybody. This sounds like so stranger danger. I was gonna say I'd
Yeah,
love to meet anybody online in person, but
totally.
women who love sports, and you're doing such an incredible thing here, and I definitely think the High Frankie app will be such a big thing. It's just such an incredible idea, and it's like
Thank you.
being in a room with a bunch of other women who just love sports, and there's no like judgment or anything like that. Like I was like, oh my god, that's worth getting on a plane for. And I told you too, the Vikings play on Monday, so I
So
was like, I can get back home in time to kind of have my NFL
totally.
Sunday, even though it's on a Monday setup.
Yeah, the Bills play Sunday night, so I was also like, I'm not gonna be like, work in the room while the Bills are on the TV. Like, I'm not gonna be able to do that. I need to focus.
Exactly, exactly. So tell me a little bit about the
Yeah.
launch and the launch party.
Yeah, so to your first point of just like meeting people that we've been able to kind of connect and engage with on the internet, I'm like so grateful that I've found this little corner of the internet of like all these women that are so celebratory again of just being like, get in here. Like it's not that scary. It's so much
Yeah.
fun. And break it down for you in a way that, is fun to understand and give you players to root for. Like there's just such a great community of women that are doing that and that are opening the door, I think, because I think there definitely are going to still be people that even women that like want to say, this is my thing and like I deserve this fandom and like I don't really care about like dumbing it down or making it girly or whatever. Like there's people that are going to feel like that and that's well and fine too, but I love how many people are just like I'm a diehard fan, but I also think I can convince you to also become one as well, even if, it's not typically your thing. So invited a lot of girls that I'm really excited to meet as well. I've got, some friends coming too. I think it's going to just be like a really fun group. It's mostly women. There's definitely going to be some guys there, but I tried to kind of index further on women. The bar itself is like just very aligned with the vibe of Frankie, where it is a sports bar, but it is not like a fratty dive. It is more like it's really cute in there. It's got like a photo booth. It's got great cocktails. Like you can have kind of a more not even upscale because it's like it's still just kind of a neighborhood bar, but it's a really cute vibe in there. We've got a raffle that anyone can enter if they download the app, and I'm really excited for the raffle. There's a lot of really fun prizes in there, including game tickets, which I'm really excited about for Eagles Giants at MetLife on October 9th, I think. We've got an astrologer coming, which she is working on like a couple different menu offerings of like which reading you want to do. But one of them is going to be focused on like you and your kind of natal chart, but also how that shows up in the world of sports. Like, are you going to be someone that should latch on to competition, or should you kind of lean on in a little bit more to culture and fashion? How does your chart align with like how you can show up as a fan?
That's so cool.
And then the other one is let's like find a player that you should root for. Like who are you cosmically aligned with
Yes.
today? So I'm really excited for that. I think it'll be really fun.
I've never thought, I mean, and there might be people listening be like, oh my gosh, that's so silly. When I meet a man, it's like you don't want to ask their birthday, but you're trying to figure out
Yeah.
like what their sign is without being like, tell me your sign. But it's like, why don't I look at that for players? Like,
Yeah. And like, I
am I
think that's
compatible with these players? Like, not even in a romantic way at
right.
all. Like,
Is this where I should be
are
putting my
we
energy today?
vibing kind of way? I love it.
Uh,
That is genius.
so like in that also like that's like a future idea for the app that I definitely want to explore is kind of like not just how the players are looking that week, but like how are you doing that week? Are you really lucky this week or should you play it safe this week based on your
I
astrology as
love
well?
it.
Like or like the coach is feeling really kind of ambitious this week and is going to be making some kind of like more, riskier calls or something like that. Like we can do a lot with this and I am excited for it to grow because I'll say that in general, everything in the app is just a starting point. It's just like what we're launching with, but I'm so excited to kind of learn how people are experiencing it, get feedback from everyone, and be able to like iterate on it, quickly and make an app that everyone is really excited to use because I think the initial version will be fun and great, but I think there's a future in which there's just so much more we can do with this that I'm really excited.
Totally. No, I think, like I said, I was going through the app. I love it. I think it's so much fun. There's so many fun little components to it. My personal favorite, the pulse check, the little
Yeah.
polls. I freaking love it. And one of the questions was, could you ever date a rival fan? And my answer was, depends on which
Mine
rival.
too. Mine too.
Yes, but and one of the answers was I'm living this nightmare, which I think is just hilarious. But I just everything about the app, I love it. It's just fun. It's just girly and like,
Meant to be
to your
fun. Yeah,
point, I've gotten that too of people being like, and of course this podcast is not just for women, but I have many male listeners and they're incredible. But I've had people reach out and be like, well, why do we need to make this girly at all? And it's like,
you
you
don't.
don't,
You don't.
100%. Exactly. I'm an incredibly girly person
Totally.
and I love football. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
change myself. I
totally.
love astrology. I've loved astrology really forever, and more than I've loved football, that's for sure. And
Yeah,
it's like you can combine things. You can combine these like fun little polls about the
like,
wives and the girlfriends. You can be invested in the lives of wives and girlfriends. That's totally okay, and you can
totally.
still love
And you
football
can
and
still be a real fan
100%.
if you don't want to look at any of that and you're like, why make it girly or whatever, there's so many other apps for you. There are so many places for you to go because that's traditionally, the audience that I think most other big media companies or anything else has been building for. I do think there's like a really fun, interesting moment though happening in which that's definitely starting to shift.
Yeah.
Even just looking at like, every NFL TikTok right now being centered around Love Island and the summer I turned pretty and like every fashion brand doing collabs. Like definitely a huge moment that I think people have finally realized like there is more to this fandom than what we've traditionally been taught and like there's other ways that you can get people into it. And I think something kind of encouraging, kind of going back to like your origin story of like getting into it because you had someone you loved it and that I think has been really just like sweet and fun as well is like I'll have friends that are super into it and they're like, "Wait, I'm so excited that like Mary's watching a game with me this weekend and like thank you for, getting her into it because like we typically wouldn't have hung out today and now, now she's excited and participating in something that I really love." And I'm thinking of it, in that regard, I've talked to people that are like, "Oh my God, my daughter's gonna love this. I can't wait," and all these men that maybe again there's plenty of the people that are going to be like, ew, this is crazy, like they hate seeing Taylor Swift on their screen, they hate all this stuff, and that's going to exist and that's fine. But there's so many people that are so excited about this idea that like you can welcome people into the fandom that typically wouldn't be in it and let me give you the right hooks to do that because
Totally.
the existing content out there isn't the most set up for that. I will say though, there are to the like an earlier point, there are so many women doing amazing content now, you included, and just like the amount of podcasts and just like series that I'm seeing of just like breaking down things for newer fans and everything. I'm so encouraged by that, and I think it's such a joy to see that that's becoming the norm and wasn't the case even just a couple years ago.
That's such a good point. There's definitely such a shift, and I mean, I literally just placed an Abercrombie order yesterday. My Vikings. This is from Peace Collective, and they've been doing NFL collabs for ages, but it's seen better days now. This guy, so I placed my Abercrombie order yesterday. Fortunately, it's not going to be here in time for
So
Sunday,
good.
but I'm super superstitious about
Yeah, me too.
the clothing that I
Oh my
wear on game day. So I'm like,
wait, I have a question
maybe
then.
this, yeah.
Do you have for your lucky gear, does it reset every season or are you just like this is no longer lucky and I just can't wear it ever again?
No, no, it stays the same. But also I'm superstitious, but I'm also a little crazy.
Yeah,
I'm a little delusional. So I will cater my superstitions to what
yeah,
works for me.
yep.
But
No, same.
if they lose, it's not necessarily the clothing item if they've won in that clothing item
Okay, okay.
before. I used to
That's
have a candle though that was lucky, and I like I started burning the candle like mid game, and the Vikings were down, and then all of a sudden they really turned it around the
totally.
second I burned that candle,
Yep.
and I was like, this is a lucky candle. And then I forgot about the candle, and then mid game I burned it, and the Vikings were like doing fine. I think we were up, and then I lit the candle, and it did so bad. So I was like, "Oh my god, I have
Oh
to get rid of
no.
this candle."
Yeah, no more candle. The exact same shit. I have a pair of socks that I always wear that I will put on mid game, and I'm like, see, they're doing better now. Now that I have, and I think like we've laughed about this before, but I also literally like stressed about it being like, I wear all of my lucky things to every game, but like sometimes we lose, and I'm like, wait, do I have to not wear this anymore? And there's like certain areas of the bar that we sit in, where like when we sit in that booth, like they always lose, so we're not sitting there. Like where there's such
Hilarious.
layers to like, okay, if I'm standing, it's usually better than if I'm sitting. Like it's just so ridiculous, but it's so fun.
So funny because I have my all the I've been to 3 Minnesota Vikings games. Um, one was a preseason in Seattle, so I don't count that one because they
Okay.
lost.
That's fair.
But I was wearing my Justin Jefferson jersey at all 3 games, and they've won all
Yeah,
3 games.
important.
So that I have to wear if I'm watching the Vikings in person. But then if they do lose, which is like I love Justin Jefferson, I love the jersey. I'm happy to wear that, but sometimes I'm like there's a different outfit I could wear here. There's a different jersey I could wear. I could just do different things with my outfits, but I have to wear the jersey. So
Totally.
I'm never, ever, ever hoping that the Minnesota Vikings lose while I'm watching. But if they do, then I know that it's not the jersey, so then I can let that one go.
Every game that I've been to, the Bills have won by a small margin. Like it's been a close game that they have won, and I'm like, this is like playing it a little bit too close for me. Like, if I go to a game and they lose, like I don't know that I'll ever go to another game. It's so serious and it's so not serious at the same time. This is like literally the epitome of what I think is so fun about it because I know that men are also this way in a lot of senses, that they'll also have like crazy superstitions and whatever. And it's like, why aren't you realizing how ridiculous that is?
But astrology is where it crosses the
Oh,
line.
she's like way too crazy.
That is so funny. Okay, well, everybody listening, definitely be sure to download the Hi Frankie app. It is amazing. You're going to love it. Just have a little fun on there. Type in your favorite players, see what information. I definitely learned some stuff about some of the players on the Vikings. I will say though, I put into the Ask Frankie and I was like, are the Vikings going to be good? And I did not get a yes. So
It's kind of funny because the chat functionality is a lot of like my own takes in it, and because I want Frankie to be like a persona. The things that were not my takes, it kind of leans more neutral.
mm,
And I kind of don't
fair
want
enough.
that. Like I'm playing with that still of just being like, no, I think it's like so much more fun to have like an opinionated friend to chat with that you can kind of challenge assumptions or get hot takes on. And like this is just also so funny and fun to be sitting writing a piece of code around how Ed Oliver, who is a defensive lineman for the Bills, is a horse girl. And I'm like writing that into code. And I'm like, I think that's so funny and fun. And this is like, it's just the epitome of what I'm like so excited about here. But to your point, if you're seeing something you don't like, and also in general, feedback for the app again, I'm so excited to get that. So like always feel free to share it with me. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok and just kind of share whatever you're feeling or thinking. Because I want to build this for everyone. I want it to be something that everyone's having a lot of fun with and not just, I've been pretty and slowly like, what do I want to see? This is an app for me, but I'm like, I want to hear what you guys want as well. So I'm excited to hear what that response is as well.
I love it. Well, best of luck to you. I will be using that app every single week. I promise you that.
Thank you
And
so
I hope
much.
everybody else does too. Moving on here, let's touch on the season. It's about to start by the time everybody's listening to this today. Yeah, on Thursday,
Yep.
by the time
Yep.
this is out. The season is here. Do you have any fun predictions, any feelings about the Bills or really any team in general? Anything that you don't like that happened this offseason? Anything that you're super excited to see how it plays out? Tell me
Yeah.
your thoughts.
Yeah. So I mean, first of all, I'm never gonna not say that this is our year.
The same way.
As long as Josh Allen is playing, like the Bills have every opportunity to go to the Super Bowl and win, and I think they should have last year, but it happens.
Yeah.
Um, I will make it clear here first. I love Taylor Swift and I love Travis Kelce. I hate the Chiefs.
Yeah. Okay. Same.
Just
I also
because
hate Travis Kelsey. As a player, I've never liked that man. But anyways, go on.
he's looking pretty washed anyway, but I feel like they got pretty exposed finally, like at least in the Super Bowl, like they looked like trash. And so I'm like
Mhm.
kind of just hoping that continues. I would love if the Friday night game in Brazil, Justin Herbert comes out, he's got his fresh girlfriend, Madison Beer, just coming out hot in Brazil. And I would love if that first game was a Chargers win. Yeah, I think the Chargers are going to win that first game. So that's my hope. As far as the Bills go, I'm, just always so excited. I think there's a lot of really exciting talent. There was a lot of drama around James Cook and his contract this
Mhm.
year that I'm so happy that he ended up, re-signing. But I think that in those months that we weren't sure that that was going to happen, I was still very optimistic about two of our other running backs, Ty Johnson and Ray Davis, had both had incredible moments last year. One of which was Ty Johnson, the running back, having like a 115 yard receiving yard game at some point last year, which I was like, that what is he up to? Like, receiver too? I'm like, okay, worst case scenario, Cook doesn't resign. Like, I still am really excited to see these other guys that I think just have so much talent and like can like maybe be breakouts as well. So that's my hope for them. I'm really excited about a new he's not new, he's been around, but he's I think officially on the roster for the first time is Terrell Shavers. He just has looked amazing in preseason. I think Hard Knocks has been really fun, but also devastating. I don't know if you've been watching, but it's so classic that they're making you fall in love with people that are getting cut. And it's just like, did you have to do that? Couldn't you have like shown someone that we knew was going to be on the team? I don't know. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts for the season. But I think something that kind of just harkens back to everything we've been talking about is that it's always so unpredictable. 3 weeks in, you're always like, who knew? I think having that kind of unpredictable wild card moments, like those are always what I think just make the season so much fun. I'm just excited to see what weird things are going to go down this season.
Before I forget, I say this all the time, okay? I think that the Bills are the Minnesota Vikings of the AFC. I
Totally.
think their fandoms are very similar. They're very passionate, but like I'd say they're nice people. Like
Yeah,
they're not known for being vicious. My ultimate dream would be a Vikings Bills Super Bowl. That would
ideal.
just blow minds. Like
Totally.
blow minds. Like
Yeah.
who's gonna win their first Super Bowl? I don't know. And I
Yep.
always say, but I don't think this is an accurate statement. Like if the Bills won, I don't think I'd be I know I can't even say it out
Okay.
loud. Like I think I would be like obviously I'd be upset, but it
Yeah.
would hurt a lot less if the Minnesota Vikings lost to the Buffalo
Yeah.
Bills. I think that's
Totally.
a good way to word it.
I think that I've had that exact thought of like last year. I was like, I kind of would rather like Bills Eagles because I think more of America would be rooting for the Bills since the Eagles have already won.
That's
I'm
true.
like,
That's a good point.
hopefully not everyone would be mad at us if we won, like that. I've totally thought about that too. Or if it's two teams that haven't won, it's so like you're just going to be happy for whatever fan base wins.
Yeah, it's so interesting talking about James Cook because I mean, I love Dalvin Cook, his brother, because he was a Viking, and I've always kind of had a soft spot for James
Mhm.
Cook with them
Yep.
just being brothers. So I'm
Yep.
I'm really happy for you guys that he's
Me
signed
too.
again. I'm really curious for the Bills how Josh Allen I think he's going to play incredibly, but I wonder, like you said, he played so well since getting engaged. I wonder if getting married, since he did get married this summer,
Yep.
if that's going to make a difference. If anything, I think it's just gonna he's gonna keep this hot streak going. Like we said before, and you said the same thing. And people like sometimes get mad. There's superstitious people of like you can't say that you're gonna win a
Yeah.
Super Bowl because then
Yeah.
they won't win it. I'm very much
Yep.
like every single year the Vikings are winning. I actually, as you were talking, I wasn't not listening to you. I was looking on my phone though, and I was seeing if the Vikings do play the Bills this season. They do not. There
Don't. Yeah.
is no matchup with the Vikings and Bills. So hopefully
Hopefully
I
see
was
you
gonna
at the
say,
end.
hopefully it'll be in playoffs, but hopefully it'll be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That would be incredible. We'll see. I mean, with the Vikings though, it is such a toss up with JJ McCarthy, our new quarterback. I really, really, really hope he plays well.
Are you like really excited about him?
I'm
Also,
so excited about
do you
him.
think
I
he
was
popped?
devastated last year when he got injured. That's so the Minnesota Vikings
Yeah,
though. Like
yeah,
to draft a quarterback in the first round. I don't know when that was
yeah,
done last
yeah.
for the Minnesota Vikings. It had been quite some time. Our franchise QB putting everything in on him and then he gets injured during preseason. I'm like, yeah, that checks out for the Minnesota Vikings. I think he's going to be amazing. I always say this to everybody. Tom Brady compared JJ McCarthy to himself.
Love.
So I think that, and also too, he's well, okay, this could go both ways. He's expecting a child. I don't know when the baby is due, but it's gonna be during the season.
I also think that can go both ways where I'm like, don't underestimate dad's strength. Like, I don't
Yes,
know. But also
yes,
it's
that's
like
true.
that's
Or it
also like
could
a
be
lot of
like,
other
is
stuff
your
too.
mind somewhere
Yeah.
else? I don't know. So I'm just so excited. I think it's gonna be amazing. We got Adam Thielen back too. I don't know if you saw
Yep.
that. Minnesota boy, local boy.
It's one of
Um,
my favorite storylines, by the way, in general, is like when someone that like grows up in the town, or like even like a coach that played for the team and they come back to coach, or we've got one of the, Buffalo Joe on the Bills right now, of just like he was wearing the jersey going to games his whole life, and now he gets to play for the team. It's so sweet.
no,
I love
it is amazing. I love it. All right, Izzy. Well, this has been such an amazing conversation. I do have one more question for you. However, from what you've been telling me, it sounds like you have had such an amazing and welcoming experience. But obviously, the name of the show called the Name One Player podcast, and that came to be because of the countless times
Yeah,
that I've been
totally.
asked to name one player. But, it sounds like you've had a pretty different experience, which is just so amazing. But if you do have any times that you've been asked to name one player or asked to prove yourself, definitely chat about that. But if not, let me know more about just how great it's been to be welcomed with such open arms.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think my experience in person and getting into it, going to that Bills bar and watching it with my friends was not the typical. It was like definitely rare, I think, that I was welcomed and that no one asked me to prove my fandom or call me a bandwagon or ask me to name a player. And I think that I could immediately recognize how rare that was and it was so not what I was expecting, that it is a lot of the genesis of like kind of why I'm building this app of like there's no reason other people can't be welcome open armed into this. Because like regardless of how they've spent 30 years not caring about it, doesn't matter. So did I. Come on in. So I think that was my experience in person. I'll say lately though, just as you were talking about just like what's happening on TikTok too. I have experienced a little bit of funny, some funny interactions online. Where there was one I commented on like quarterback season 2. I had watched that Netflix show and I commented on someone's TikTok something about how like Jared Goff kind of like knows that Kristen is out of his league and like, that's the vibe he
Okay.
gives is that he's like that's his queen and as it
Like,
should.
she's the most stunning woman I've ever seen in my
And that
life.
was not trying to be like a knock on Jared Goff, but like it was just whatever. The response I got to that from all these men being like, he's like a millionaire and he's a quarterback, just being like, he's at her league. Like, how dare you? Like, it was such a funny response that I was like, whoa, I was like not expecting this. And I'm seeing it again with Madison Beer and Justin Herbert, where people are like, damn, like Justin Herbert pulled Madison. And then all these other guys again being like so defensive of how eligible of a bachelor Justin is. And I'm like,
No,
totally. I'm not saying that he's not, but like it's just this very funny, like, why are you commenting on this kind of thing?
yeah,
And I think that was also a moment of like, I'm commenting on this because I can, and like, who
yes,
cares? The point is to have fun here. It's a game. I want to create this space where someone can say a stupid, funny comment like that like doesn't mean anything about the sport. It's not gonna like make Jared Goff not do well in the season. It's less about name one player, I guess, but it was more like a why are you even here talking about this kind of
yeah.
vibe that I'm like,
That is so funny. I mean, I have seen that conversation about Jared Goff and his
yeah,
wife, and yeah, like the men who are coming out and like almost, yeah, like taking it as like a personal attack
yeah.
against
And I'm
Jared
like,
Goff, and it's like,
relax, man.
no, first of all, number one, that's a very healthy relationship for a
Yeah,
husband to be like, my woman is the
Girls, he
greatest
is
woman
insane.
in the whole entire world. Like, for any man listening, that's goals. That's the way you want to be treating your wife. Not like, I'm a millionaire.
Yeah,
I'm a,
I
the,
deserve this. Like,
exactly,
sure,
like,
of course Jared deserves his hot wife. Like, I'm not saying that he doesn't, but
and it's like, yeah, not a shot at him.
yeah,
Like,
right.
it's like, and
Totally.
not a shot at his playing. Like, that's,
Yeah,
you weren't saying like, oh my God, his wife is
right. Like
so
he
out of his
sucks or
league.
anything. Yeah,
Which was a funny, like, tongue-in-cheek comment anyways, too. Because Jared Goff, he's a good-looking man, and I'll say that as
really.
a Vikings fan, I can
Of
admit
course.
it. But, like, that's not, you're not saying, like, he's bad at football
No.
and I hate Jared Goff,
Yeah.
and he's like,
And
yeah,
yet
that's
it was
hilarious.
just like, why do you have an opinion on this kind of thing? And I think it just totally encapsulates that idea that like I can be actually a real fan and like have real debates about how well people are playing, but I can also just talk tongue in cheek, stupid shit about who's dating who and have some fun with it if I want to, because why not? Like you don't get to tell me how I can be a fan, you know?
100%. I love that, and, well, I don't love the men.
No, I kind of do. I'm like, what else can I say?
Exactly. That, good for you. Good for you. But I love that you had this incredible experience walking into this bar. And you mentioned like earlier in the podcast that you were kind of like a little bit like, oh, I don't really know that I
Yeah,
should
I was
do
like
this.
scared.
Like,
Yeah,
exactly. And
yeah,
it's so amazing that you had this different experience. And I hope anybody listening to this who maybe is afraid to get into the football
yeah,
or whatever sport because of that, again, blanket statement, but it is the stereotype, and not even necessarily the stereotype, like, it is real life for a lot of
yeah,
people, and it has been the experience that a lot of women have had of men not accepting you, like, this is their space, you shouldn't come in. If you don't know everything, then you're not welcome here. But hopefully there's some women out here listening, hearing that it's not always going to be like that. There are going to be some really amazing fandoms.
yeah.
Sounds like Bills Mafia is a great one to
You're
accept
welcome
you with
here.
open arms. But at the same time, I definitely do think the whole like name one player narrative is shifting.
I think
There
so too.
definitely are some enlightened men out there
Yeah,
who are getting that, like, and I've had men say this to me before, like, well, how do I get my girlfriend involved in football? And
totally.
it's like, make it
Yeah,
fun. Like,
make it
football is
fun.
so fun.
Totally.
Don't make it something that like needs to be closed off. Like,
And that you need to test your knowledge. Like you don't need to
exactly.
know everything. Because you can also, I think 100% you can be a fan that doesn't actually learn all the rules or
Yeah,
every, you know, like you don't need to go that deep on it. I think if you want to stay on the other side of just learning about the people and that's all like that's great too. And like what's, you know, why does that mean that you can't still be in the fandom?
100%. And I think the Frankie app is going to do such an amazing job
You
of bringing women in, bringing anybody in, and it's not even just for women. If men want to
yeah,
get involved in the app too, like, we are not
you're
gatekeeping
welcome here. It's
sexuality
just like it's
here.
not built for them, but they're welcome here.
Definitely. But women in particular, if you want to start getting involved in football, I definitely think the High Frankie app is like an amazing way to do it. Just make it
You,
fun, make it light, but you're
yeah.
also learning about the sport, and I think it's great. I love it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your support more than I can even express.
All right, well, Izzy, thank you so much for coming on. That's all that I have for you. I wish you the best of
Thank
luck
you so
on
much.
Sunday with your launch party. I hope the Bills do
Thank
well.
you.
Who are they playing on Sunday?
Ravens.
Okay.
It'll be a tough first matchup.
All right, Izzy, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so
Of,
much fun to chat.
of course. Thank you so much to Izzy for joining us. What a fun episode. You're bringing some of my absolute favorite things together. You're bringing football, which I've said so many times is like my pride and joy in life. I love it. I was having this conversation with a man actually about how I genuinely don't know that I'll ever love a man the way that I love football. Which is crazy and a little bit sad. A little bit I'm not going to call myself pathetic. That's a bit far. But a little bit questionable maybe, but you know what? I'm going to own it. I love football so much. Anyways, the whole point of that is we're bringing together my loves, football and astrology. Izzy is a genius and have combined the two and has made an amazing app. Thank you so much, Izzy, for coming on and explaining all about the app. Everybody, go download the Hi Franky app and explore it. Go check out the polls. Like I said, it's so fun. Definitely go vote. I am so curious if you would date a rival fan. What are your thoughts on that? Are you living that nightmare, or is it an absolute no-go for you? I want to know. Tell me. And tell Izzy and tell the Hi Franky app. Again, Izzy, congratulations. The app is a genius idea. I'm so happy for you. Best of luck for your launch party on Sunday. It's going to be amazing. I'm sad I can't be there, but you're going to kill it. Everybody who is listening, if you were listening on Thursday, enjoy the first game. Enjoy. Savor this moment. It's one of the best feelings, I think, because you know what? Soon enough, it's going to be February and then we're not going to have football anymore. So remember this feeling, okay? If you are listening on Sunday, I hope your team wins, unless it's a team that I don't like, unless you are a Packer fan or even a Lions fan. I hope your team does not win. If you are listening on Monday and you are a Bears fan, I hope the Bears do horribly. And if you are a Minnesota Vikings fan, unfortunately, we do have to wait until Monday night, which is a little bit bittersweet. But you know what? That's okay. We can enjoy a stress-free Sunday, just watch all of the games, and know that our fate is not yet decided. All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening. It means the absolute world to me. Whatever platform you are listening on, I would love it if you subscribe to the Name on Player podcast, rated the episode a 5 stars, I think is best, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. Depending on the platform you're listening on, Spotify, YouTube, it does give you the option to comment on the episode, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on mine and Izzy's conversation. And lastly, please be sure to follow the Name on Player podcast on social media. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and just follow along. The engagement means so much to me, and I just love hearing from you guys. It makes me so happy. All right, everybody, I hope you have a lovely rest of your week, a lovely weekend watching all of the football games, because again, football is back. All right, everyone, take care. Bye.